The floorboards remain silent as Brier slips through the shadows of the Alpha's bedroom. 6 years of training have honed her ability to move like smoke, and tonight it will all be worth it. Her fingers tighten around the hilt of her blade, its surface gleaming with the poison she meticulously applied hours earlier. One cut, that's all it will take. One precise cut while he sleeps, and the most dangerous shifter in the territory will be eliminated. Moonlight streams through the tall windows, casting everything in silver, making the massive 4-poster bed resemble an altar. Sprawled across the dark sheets, her target lies as if without a care in the world. His face, with its strong jaw and straight nose, is relaxed in sleep, almost deceptively human. Brier frowns. She knows better. Shifters are savage beasts hiding behind human faces, preying on innocence and pretending civility when none exists. But watching him now, his chest rising and falling in peaceful rhythm, she hesitates. No, she reminds herself. Focus. She forces herself to think of her parents, the fire that claimed them when she was 16, the coven that found her broken and alone. They revealed the truth. It wasn't an accident. Shifters killed them, just as they've killed so many others. This is for them, for every child who won't lose their parents to these monsters, for every witch who can sleep soundly knowing one less beast roams free. Brier inches closer, her magic humming beneath her skin like a second heartbeat. But something about him seems off. He looks younger than she expected, almost disappointingly so. Pathetic, she thinks with a quiet scoff. Dangerous or not, he has to die. She raises the blade, poised to strike. The poison will work quickly, ensuring he doesn't call for help. As she moves, his eyes snap open, startlingly blue. Time seems to stretch as they lock gazes. She hovers above him, weapon in hand, while he blinks up at her with an unreadable expression. Then, impossibly, he smiles. Not a grimace of fear or a snarl of rage, but a genuine smile, soft and almost pleased. Her heart stutters, heat rushing to her cheeks, and the unexpected reaction infuriates her. With a snarl, she drives the blade downward, only for his hand to shoot up and seize her wrist with inhuman speed. No, he murmurs, his voice deep and rough with sleep. I don't think so. She struggles against his grip, twisting and pulling, but his strength is overwhelming. His fingers clamp around her wrist like steel bands, his heated skin burning against hers. The blade slips from her grasp, clattering harmlessly to the floor. In one fluid motion, he flips them, pinning her beneath him on the bed. Suddenly, she's trapped under solid muscle, his thighs bracketing hers, his bare chest pressing against her body. "Let me go," she spits, bucking against his weight, but he doesn't budge. "Get off me, you animal!" His eyes have shifted to gold, pupils dilating as he stares down at her. To her absolute horror, his nose skims along her throat and inhales deeply. "What the hell are you doing?" she demands, her voice higher than intended. "You smell like wildflowers," he murmurs, his tone almost reverent. "I smell like your death," she snaps back, struggling beneath him. "Now let me go." The bedroom door bursts open, and suddenly the room is full of large, intimidating people who move with the fluid grace of predators. A woman with short-cropped hair and worried eyes rushes forward. "Are you all right? We heard." "I'm fine, Laura," the Alpha says calmly, despite pinning a would-be assassin to his bed. "Just had an unexpected visitor." "Who is she?" demands a man with scars across his jaw. His gaze lands on the blade on the floor, his expression darkening. "She was trying to attack you." Trying being the operative word, the alpha replies, sounding suspiciously amused. Her technique needs work. My technique is perfect, Brier snarls, renewing her struggles, and this is an overshifter. I'm going to end you. I'm going to Lara, the alpha interrupts, finally lifting his weight, but keeping one hand firmly around her wrist. Would you mind escorting our guest to the holding cells? I think she needs some time to cool down. My pleasure, Lara says grimly, hauling Brier to her feet with surprising strength. Come on, little witch, let's go. As they drag her toward the door, she twists back to look at the alpha one last time. He's sitting on the edge of his bed now, completely unruffled, watching her with those unsettling blue eyes. And damn him, he's still smiling. This isn't over, she shouts as they pull her into the hallway. I'll find a way to finish what I started. His low chuckle follows her down the corridor, and she hates how it makes her traitorous heart race. Brier has been trapped in this barbaric cell for 2 whole days. The stone walls are cold, the heavy door reinforced with what looks suspiciously like iron. Even the lock appears warded against magic. These animals are more prepared than she'd given them credit for. How are you enjoying your breakfast? Her guard asks, nodding toward the untouched tray. Brier picks up the plate and hurls it at the bars. The ceramic shatters satisfyingly. So, I guess that means you still won't tell us who sent you, the guard comments. Take these off and I'll show you, Brier snarls, holding up her wrists to display the silver cuffs locked around them. The metal burns against her skin, nullifying her magic. And have you casting a spell? I don't think so, the man says, rolling his eyes. She flips him the middle finger with both hands. Just you wait. I'll get out of here soon enough, the guard snorts. Bold of you to make threats while being held in a cell. And bold of you to try to go after the alpha of all people. You're right, Brier says sweetly. Next time, I'll go straight for you. A low snarl escapes the guard's throat, and Brier quickly scans the cell, looking for anything she could use as a weapon if he snaps. The broken ceramic pieces are too small, but the metal food tray might work if she can get enough leverage. Marco, a deep, calm voice calls out. Alpha, the guard responds. Marco immediately steps back from the bars. I was just, he attempts. I know what you were doing, the alpha interrupts, stepping into view. Brier's breath catches despite herself. Go, he says. Marco hesitates. But, sir, she was now. Marco's footsteps echo down the corridor until they fade entirely, leaving Brier alone with the person she least wants to see. The alpha doesn't speak immediately. Instead, he just looks at her, those blue eyes taking in everything from her tangled hair to her wrinkled clothes. What? She finally snaps. You want an apology or something? You're not getting one. The alpha stays silent for a beat, then asks, What's your name? The question catches her off guard. What? Your name? He repeats patiently. It's go screw yourself, Brier snaps. His mouth curves into that infuriating smirk she remembers from 2 nights ago. Apparently, you won't tell us who sent you either, he says. Maybe I sent myself, Brier rolls her eyes. Oh, he leans against the wall across from her cell, crossing his arms in a way that makes his biceps strain against his sleeves. And why is that? What did I ever do to you? This makes Brier pause. I don't like your face, she decides eventually. He raises an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. Well, I don't, she insists. It's too... She pauses, searching for the right word. Symmetrical, sharp-featured, perfect, he supplies mildly. Take your time, it'll come to you. The patronizing tone makes her want to scream. What do you even plan to do with me? She demands. You can't keep me here forever. Actually, he says, I do intend to keep you forever. Brier stares at him. Why? The second you let your guard down, I'm just gonna come for you again, fool. His gaze lingers on her face, tracing her features with an attention that makes her skin prickle with awareness. Well, Brier snaps, unnerved by the change. He doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he straightens from the wall, taking a half step closer to the bars. Stop staring at me, Brier says. It's creepy. His jaw tightens, and she can see him swallow hard. If I intend to keep you forever, he says finally, his voice quieter than before, it is because, he trails off, his eyes meeting hers and then looking away. Because what? Irritation flares in her chest. Spit it out already. What kind of game are you playing? Because you're my mate, he interrupts. Brier blinks. For a moment, she's certain she misheard him. Excuse me? What did you just say? The word comes out as barely a whisper. Mate, what does that even mean? What is he talking about? He watches her reaction carefully, those blue eyes fixed on her face, like he's trying to read her thoughts. You're my mate, he repeats, and she can see the tension in his shoulders. I'm not your anything, Brier denies. The words burst out of her, and she grimaces briefly. Fate says otherwise, it seems. Fate? Brier's voice cracks. What the hell does that mean? He's quiet for a moment, and when he speaks again, his voice is gentle, patient. All shifters have destined mates, one person who completes them, who they're meant to bond with for life. Finding your mate is rare, a gift most of us never receive. And whoa, okay, Brier interrupts. I don't like where you're going with this. You're messing with me, right? Trying to confuse me into giving you information or something? When he doesn't respond, doesn't even crack a smile, her shock transforms into fury. What kind of sick sense of humor is this, Wolf? I'm very serious, he says, that maddening calm never leaving his voice. When I saw you in my room, I knew the bond. It's like nothing I've ever felt. Even now, being near you, I can sense your emotions. Oh, good, Brier snarls. Well, then I hope you feel my complete and utter disgust for you. Something flickers across his face. Hurt, maybe? But it's gone so quickly she might have imagined it. I understand you haven't heard of fated bonds, he continues. It's not something humans usually know about. Stop talking about bonds, Brier screeches, but he doesn't stop. If anything, he seems more determined to explain. These connections are sacred to my people. When you find your mate, they become the most important thing in your world, the person you're destined to care for and cherish above all others. His eyes meet hers through the bars. I'm telling you this so you'll know that I would never hurt you, not ever. The earnestness in his voice, the way he's looking at her like she's something precious, destabilizes her completely. Do you really feel nothing when you look at me? He asks quietly. Brier's body begins to shake. No, just no. She can't listen to this anymore, can't stand the way he's looking at her like she matters, like she's not the enemy. She jerks to her feet, pressing herself against the far wall of the cell. I feel complete and utter horror, she spits. He nods slowly, like he expected that response, and her words die in her throat. I hope to change that, he says. I want you to feel safe with me. Go away, she screams. Wolves killed her parents. Wolves are monsters who only pretend to be human to lure in their prey. This is just another trick, another lie designed to make her lower her guard. She won't fall for it. 3 days have passed since the Alpha dropped his ridiculous bombshell, and Brier is still reeling from the audacity of it. Mate. He pretended she was his mate. What kind of manipulative monster invents this kind of stuff? The worst part is that everyone seems to be playing along with the charade. Just this morning, Brier overheard Marco talking to another guard in hushed tones. Poor Alpha, he'd said, shaking his head sadly. To think that's his mate? A witch who tried to kill him. Maybe she's enchanted him somehow, the other guard replied, speculating that a witch could fake a mate bond. The whole situation felt wrong, and it infuriated Brier how committed they all were to the act. For instance, the Alpha, she refused to think of him by name because names humanize people, and he was anything but human, had been visiting her cell every evening for the past week. Not to interrogate her, which would at least make sense, but to sit there and attempt conversation. This was his strategy, she realized. He thought this would break her, making her believe in some ridiculous mate bond fairy tale until she was so confused and emotionally compromised that she spilled everything about the coven's location, their numbers, their plans. It was brilliant in a twisted way and probably effective on weaker minds. Lesser girls, untrained to resist manipulation, might have fallen for those striking looks or the way he smiled as if he genuinely cared. But Brier wasn't one of those girls. She was completely indifferent to his absurdly beautiful eyes. The mere thought that he considered her so easily swayed made her blood boil, as if she'd ever be foolish enough to fall for something so obvious. "Are you comfortable enough?" he'd asked yesterday. "The nights are getting colder. I could have someone bring you another blanket." "I could have someone bring you a knife to the throat," she'd snarled back. He just smiled, that patient, understanding smile that made her want to scream. Tonight was no different. He returned again, this time with a book. "I thought you might be getting bored," he said, holding up the leather-bound volume. "This is one of my favorites." "I don't care," Brier cut him off. "I don't want to hear your voice." He fell quiet for a moment, considering her words. "All right, I'll just sit here then, maybe read to myself." And he did. He sat there reading silently while she glared at him from across the cell. This was exactly what the coven had warned them about. Wolves were master manipulators, able to present themselves as harmless while plotting their victims' destruction. Sister Thorne had drilled it into all the initiates. Never trust their human faces. Never forget what they really are underneath. Brier thought of the other girls in the coven, young women like herself who had lost everything to these monsters. Sarah, whose parents died in a car accident that was really a shifter attack. Elena, who had barely survived when wolves broke into her family's house. They were probably worried sick about her right now. The thought makes her stomach clench. Meanwhile, that idiot Alpha is still sitting there, only occasionally glancing up with something almost hopeful in his expression. That loser must think whatever it is he's doing is working, which, come to think of it, could actually play right into her hands. A slow smile spreads across Brier's face. If he wants to manipulate her by pretending to be some kind of caring, devoted soulmate, then she'll let him think he's succeeding. She'll make him believe she's starting to fall for his act. And when his guard is down, she'll strike. At worst, she can feed him false information about the coven. At best, she might actually manage to escape. "So, what's it about?" she asks suddenly, interrupting his reading. He looks up, clearly startled. "I'm sorry," Brier says, trying to inject just the right amount of reluctant curiosity into her voice. Your book. Oh, he clears his throat. I'm just rereading the Odyssey. Right, Brier pauses. What's it about? You don't know what the Odyssey is about? The man asks, looking affronted. Brier feels herself blush. Of course I do, she snaps. Just checking you do, that's all. The alpha snorts, which makes her want to shake him. Instead, she sends him her sweetest smile. Could you maybe read it to me? She asks in a tone that she hopes sounds delicate and vulnerable. I mean, if it's not too much trouble. She must succeed because the smile that crosses his face is so genuine that for a moment she almost feels guilt. It's no trouble at all, he says. Brier hides her smirk. 2 days into her brilliant manipulation plan, and Brier has made excellent progress with the alpha. The first night, she'd simply listened to him read his boring Odyssey book, occasionally asking strategic questions about the wife's motivations. Because, like for real, who waits for a dude that long? You know what she means. By the second night, she'd graduated to making carefully timed observations about the story that made him pause and look at her with something approaching interest. Soon, he'll be eating out of the palm of her hand, she thinks with satisfaction. So, when the alpha arrives for his evening reading session, she's prepared with her next move. Could I get some fresh air? She asks, batting her eyelashes. He pauses, one eyebrow raising slightly. Fresh air? I'm going stir crazy, she explains, forcing a note of vulnerability into her voice. There's something almost amused in his expression as he considers her request. I suppose dinner upstairs wouldn't be unreasonable. You'd have to remain cuffed, of course. Of course, Brier agrees quickly. 20 minutes later, she's following him up a stone staircase, her magic-suppressing cuffs still firmly in place. The house above the dungeons is nothing like what she expected from a pack of murderous beasts. It's elegant, all warm wood and expensive furniture, with actual artwork on the walls. This is nice, she says, her tone carrying just the right amount of surprise as her eyes discreetly scan the room for escape routes. Thank you. If he notices her subtle assessment, he doesn't mention it. The dining room is expansive, dominated by a long table that could comfortably seat 20 people. Naturally, he gestures for her to sit at the far end while he claims his spot at the head, putting a good 10 feet of polished mahogany between them. What's wrong? Brier asks, glancing at him with concern. I'm not going to stick my fork in your eye, am I? A little bit, yes, he admits, flashing that maddening half-smile. Before she can respond, the door swings open and a middle-aged woman rushes in. Alpha, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we need to discuss the Morrison account. Why? What's the issue? He asks, setting down his fork. The deadline is tomorrow, and if we don't get your signature on the revised terms, we'll lose the contract entirely. The alpha sighs, pulling out a pen as the woman places a stack of documents next to his plate. Brier watches him pick up his fork again after a solid 15 minutes of signing. Do you actually plan to eat now, or? The door bursts open again. A younger man with urgent eyes hurries in. Alpha, there's been a boundary dispute with the Riverside pack. Brier takes another bite of her chicken, observing the alpha glance longingly at his cooling dinner. You were saying? He prompts when he finishes the new task. I was saying that at this rate, Brier replies, gesturing with her fork, Penelope will sooner see her missing husband than you'll get to eat. The door flies open yet again. This time it's Laura, still in her guard uniform. Alpha, the new security protocols need your approval. With a resigned expression, the alpha pushes his plate aside while Brier finishes her chicken and moves on to her vegetables. By the time Laura leaves with her answers, Brier is reaching for dessert, and the man hasn't taken a single bite. I mean, who needs food anyway? She quips. He sighs deeply. Being alpha means being responsible for everyone in the pack. Their problems become my problems. Right, Brier says dryly. You mean they can't think for themselves? That's not what the Alpha begins, but he's cut off as an older man barges in. Alpha, forgive me, but the Henderson contract. Oh, come on, Brier snaps, startling everyone in the room. The man is eating. Can't you give it a rest? The sudden silence is deafening. The Alpha blinks at her, clearly caught off guard by her outburst, but he doesn't protest. One by one, the others file out, leaving them alone. Thank you, he says quietly, looking unsure for the first time since she's met him, torn between gratitude, annoyance, and something resembling shy pleasure. Brier shrugs. You can't possibly deal with business every 5 minutes. He sighs again. Well, I do run several businesses that employ pack members, handle disputes, negotiate with other packs, maintain relationships with human authorities. Brier stares at him, dumbfounded. Businesses, negotiations. This isn't what Sister Thorne taught them at all. Human authorities, she repeats. The Alpha pauses. Yes, he says, so they don't discover what we are. Oh, Brier nods knowingly. You mean covering up all the murders? The Alpha's fork freezes halfway to his mouth. The murders? He repeats, sounding genuinely confused. He's a very good actor, Brier decides. He almost has her convinced he has no idea what she means. All the humans you kill, Brier explains, to appease your wolves with blood so you can maintain your shifts. For a moment, the Alpha just stares at her, his face completely blank. Excuse me? What? He asks, setting down his fork and pushing back from the table. Oh, come on, Brier insists with an eye roll. I'm a witch, not exactly human. I know what you are. And what is it that you think we are? The confusion in his voice sounds genuine, but she knows better than to trust it. Seriously? Did he really think she didn't know about how shifters worked? Sister Thorne had taught them well. Brier knows all about their barbaric ways. Did you just say we kill humans for blood to maintain our shifts? The Alpha asks. Brier flinches. Do wolves like to pretend they don't do that? Maybe it's some kind of pack taboo to discuss it openly. She's not sure what to say, how best to play this for her cover. Is that what? The Alpha runs a hand through his hair, looking genuinely thrown. Who told you this? The question hits too close to home, and Brier immediately shuts down. This is it, the part where the gentle manipulation stops and the real interrogation begins. She should have seen it coming. None of us commit murders, the Alpha continues, leaning forward with concern written across his features. It's against our laws to harm humans. We have strict policies. Liar. The word tears from her throat before she can stop it. Images flash through her mind. Her parents' house engulfed in flames. The coven's explanation of what really happened. The wolves that came for them in the night. Brier shakes her head, her breathing becoming shallow. How dare he? How dare he expect her to act like she doesn't know what he is, what he does? The room begins to spin. I'm not lying, the Alpha says, his voice urgent but soothing. No one kills humans. No one is going to hurt you. You're safe here. But she can't hear him over the roaring in her ears, can't see past the visions that always come when someone challenges what she knows to be true. Her parents screaming her name, fire everywhere, the shapes of wolves moving through the smoke. Stop, she whispers, her voice breaking. They killed them. They killed my parents. Sister Thorne showed me. She explained it to me. The sobs come without warning, harsh and painful, ripping through her chest like physical wounds. She's 16 again, standing in the ashes of her home, completely alone in the world. The grief is as fresh as it was 7 years ago. Suddenly, the Alpha is beside her, his hands on her shoulders, warm and steady. "Hey," he murmurs, his voice low and soothing. "You're safe. Just breathe with me, all right?" His thumbs trace gentle circles on her shoulders, and the relief is so immediate, so profound, that it leaves her gasping. "In and out," he murmurs. "That's it." She finds herself matching his breathing without meaning to. "I've got you," the Alpha says quietly, his hands moving to cup her face. "Whatever they told you, whatever they made you believe, none of it was real." His voice is so certain, so gentle, that for a moment she almost believes him. Almost. But the images keep flickering behind her eyes. Fire, screaming, the shadow of wolves in the smoke. She gasps, clinging to the Alpha. Even as her mind screams that he's the enemy, that his touch shouldn't comfort her. "I don't understand," she cries out, her voice raw from crying. She's caught between the safety she feels in his arms and the terror that screams she should feel. What's happening? She's falling apart in the arms of her enemy, and she doesn't even know why. The last thing she's aware of is the Alpha's arms tightening around her as consciousness slips away. Consciousness comes in fragments. Brier feels like she's swimming up from the bottom of a deep, dark pool. She's lying on something soft, a bed, she realizes dimly, but exhaustion weighs her down like lead. Her eyes feel too heavy to open. Voices drift through the haze, low and urgent, the sound of footsteps pacing back and forth across what sounds like hardwood floors. "Alpha, she's too unstable. If she's really your fated mate, she is." The interruption comes sharp and certain, and Brier recognizes the Alpha's voice immediately. All the more reason to get rid of her. The other voice continues. "She's been completely brainwashed. She tried to kill you. If she stays and your bond actually forms, I want to know who did this to my mate." The Alpha interrupts, his voice carrying a dangerous edge now. "Contact every pack, every contact we have. Someone fed her those lies, someone twisted her mind, and I want to know who." A heavy sigh echoes through the room. "West, listen to yourself. You're already not being rational about this." West. So that's his name? She thinks she hadn't even thought to ask, not even when Sister Thorne had told her she'd earned her first mark and her next assignment would be her first kill. She hadn't asked for his name. She loses consciousness again. The next time awareness finds her, it's night. Arms, warm and solid, are wrapped around her, but it takes her a moment to realize she's being held. Her body stirs slightly, and blue eyes meet hers in the dim light. "Sorry," the Alpha says quietly. "You thrash a lot when I don't hold you." "Your name is West?" she asks, the words coming out rougher than she expected. Her throat feels raw, like she's been screaming. "Sleep," he murmurs, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. The tenderness of the gesture confuses her. "Did you drug me?" she asks, because the exhaustion feels bone deep, unnatural. His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "No, your body just exhausted itself with stress." "Stress?" she repeats. "Yes, it appears our discussion triggered something within you at dinner. You've been struggling since." "Oh." Her eyes drift closed again to the sound of his steady breathing. When she wakes the third time, she keeps her eyes shut, listening. The Alpha's voice is questioning. Brier begins to tense as she feels the presence of magic beside her. But this magic is wrong, dark and twisted, something deeply unsettling that makes her skin crawl and the hair on her arms stand on end. The temperature in the room seems to drop several degrees. "Well, she's a witch, that's for sure," says an unfamiliar male voice, oddly melodic in tone. Wes's exhale is audible, frustrated. "Right, but is she in danger? Is she under some sort of spell?" "No, not that I can." The stranger pauses. She hears the rustle of fabric, feels the bed shift, then, without warning, cold fingers wrap around her wrist. Brier's eyes snap open. A man with copper hair and green eyes leans over her, his skin pale as parchment. The darkness you sensed emanates from him like heat from a fire, making the shadows in the room writhe and dance. "You have dark magic," she breathes, instinctively trying to pull away. "So do you," he says calmly, looking at her arm. Brier follows his gaze and sees the mark on her forearm glowing faintly through her skin, pulsing with a sickly green light. That's her coven mark. Everyone receives one when they join, but it's supposed to stay hidden. How is it visible now? Brier tries to scramble away from him, but the dark magician makes a disapproving sound, a soft tsk that somehow sends chills down her spine, and places one finger against her forehead. His touch is like ice, and darkness rushes in again. The next time she wakes, West is beside her, and fury blazes through her immediately. "What did you do to me?" she demands, trying to sit up. "Nothing," he says, but he looks troubled, haunted even. The scent of food drifts from a tray on the bedside table, something warm and comforting that makes her stomach growl despite everything. But Brier has to focus. She remembers the dark magician, how he'd seen her mark. It can't be good if the Alpha has seen it too. If he has a clue that could lead him to the coven, she needs to escape now. When a knock comes at the door and he gets up to leave, she seizes her chance. "West," Brier calls out. The sound of his name on her lips makes him pause. Time to double down on her manipulation, she thinks. Time to make him believe she's starting to trust him. "Stay with me," she asks, making her voice small and vulnerable. "Please." For a moment, he looks clearly torn. But the fact that she's asked him to stay, that she's used his name, it's clearly affecting him more than she expected. There's something raw and grateful in his expression, like she's just handed him an unexpected gift. Perfect. This is exactly what she needs. Brier lets a small, shy smile curve her lips. She shifts slightly on the bed, making room for him while keeping her movements hesitant. "Thank you," she whispers, looking up at him through her lashes. I don't want to be alone right now." The effect is immediate. The Alpha's entire posture softens, and his hand moves as if he wants to reach for her before stopping himself. Hook, line, and sinker. "Could you?" she starts, then bites her lip. "Could you hold me like before?" He freezes, staring her down suspiciously. "I feel safer when you're close," Brier presses. The Alpha blinks before clearing his throat. But the second his arms settle around her, he seems to melt, his breathing deepening as he buries his face in her hair. Brier freezes, startled by the raw intimacy of the gesture. He's inhaling slowly, deeply, like he can't help himself, and for a moment, she almost believes it. No, he's probably pretending, trying to make her drop her guard. Well, two can play at this game. Brier lets herself sink deeper into his embrace and presses a soft kiss to the warm skin just below his jaw. His pulse jumps beneath her lips. When she pulls back to look at him, his eyes are wide with surprise, pupils dilated, beautiful. Before she can think, she's stretching up to press her lips to his. The kiss is nothing like she expected. His lips are warm and soft, and the taste of him, something distinctly masculine and appealing, floods her senses. But Wes doesn't respond. In fact, he goes completely frozen, like a statue. It's so jarring she pulls back almost instantly, confused. "That's it?" she asks, the words tumbling out. Brier feels her cheeks flush with embarrassment and irritation. "You should rest," the alpha replies. "Rest?" she asks, unable to keep the edge out of her voice. "That's all you've got after I just kissed you? Really, man?" He raises an eyebrow. "Thank you," he offers. Brier seriously considers shaking him. "I thought I was your fated mate," she protests. "Your destiny, or whatever." West looks like he's trying not to laugh. "You are," he says confidently. Brier crosses her arms. "So doesn't that mean you'd be interested in kissing me?" she insists. Wes studies her face for a moment, something almost predatory in the way he watches her. "You don't actually want to kiss me," he decides, sounding quite certain. Brier startles. "What? Of course I do," she insists. "No," he shakes his head. "I can feel it through our bond." "Whatever you're planning, Brier, it's not going to work." Well, crap. She realizes that his ability to sense her emotions through some supernatural connection is definitely not something the coven prepared her for. If she wants to get out of here, if she wants to warn the coven before it's too late, she's going to have to step up her game considerably. 3 weeks. That's all the time she has. 3 weeks of attempting to seduce a man who insists she's his destined mate, and Brier has nothing to show for it. "Want to make out?" she asks casually, draping herself across West's desk. It's become her go-to line, thrown out at random moments throughout the day, all part of her calculated plan to gain his trust and ultimately escape. But Wes doesn't even glance up. His brow furrows slightly, lips pressing together in that infuriatingly calm way of his. At least she's no longer stuck in that cold cell. Now she has a bedroom, a nice one, with soft blankets and a view of the mountains. Of course, the magic-suppressing cuffs remain, and there's always someone watching her, whether it's West himself or one of his trusted guards. Her attempts at seduction have been embarrassingly unsuccessful. Actually, embarrassing doesn't even begin to cover the disasters her so-called brilliant plans have turned into. Take the massage incident. She'd complained of sore shoulders, batting her eyelashes so hard she probably looked like she had something in her eye. The idea was simple. Get his hands on her, distract him, and swipe the keys to her cuffs from his pocket. Instead, she melted into a puddle of human putty the moment his fingers touched her, making sounds that would have gotten her banned from a respectable library. Then there was the dinner fiasco. She'd spent days sweet-talking the cook into letting her use the kitchen, claiming she wanted to prepare a special meal for West. The centerpiece of her plan? 3 bottles of wine, perfect for loosening his tongue about the coven, or maybe those cuff keys. 3 hours later, West was annoyingly sober, while she couldn't remember how many fingers she had. "The room is spinning," she'd slurred, clinging to his shirt. "How are you still standing?" "Shifters have a strong metabolism," he'd replied with maddening gentleness. "Alcohol doesn't affect us the same way." She'd responded by throwing up on his shoes. And so the weeks went on, each plan more elaborate than the last, each failure more spectacular. She tried everything short of interpretive dance to break through his defenses, all for the mission, of course. Not because she enjoyed the way his eyes lit up when she made him laugh. Definitely not. She tells herself she's gathering intelligence when she notices how intently he listens to every concern brought to him, or how he never raises his voice. None of this fits with what Sister Thorne taught her about shifters, but Brier pushes the doubt away. It's all an act, she reminds herself, just like her own. This morning, the house is in chaos when West brings her downstairs for breakfast. Pack members rush about with decorations, moving furniture and carrying flowers, crystals, and what looks like an entire fountain. "What's happening?" Brier asks, watching in growing confusion as more pack members arrive, arms full of supplies. Wes shrugs, guiding her to the dining room with a hand at the small of her back, a touch she's become accustomed to over the weeks. "No, but seriously," Brier insists, "what's with all the excitement out there?" Wes looks up, blinking as if he's been lost in thought. "The excitement?" Brier narrows her eyes. "There's an army of people transforming your house. Surely you must have noticed." She crosses her arms, staring him down until he sighs. "Fine," he admits. "There's a party being thrown." "A party being thrown?" she repeats, one eyebrow raised. "You mean you're throwing a party?" "Not exactly," West replies. "What does that mean?" The alpha shifts uncomfortably. "It means the party is being thrown for me." "For you?" Brier blinks. "Why would—" "For my birthday," West interrupts with a slight wince. "Your birthday?" she repeats, suddenly offended that he hasn't mentioned it before. "It's your birthday today." Not that she cares, obviously. It's just information she should have been told, for mission purposes. "When were you going to tell me?" she asks. "I wasn't aware it was that relevant information," West replies mildly. Brier scoffs. "Right, so I take it I'm not invited then." She means it as a joke, but something in his expression makes her pause. "Wait, are you serious?" she asks, genuinely surprised. "You're not inviting me?" West sighs, running a hand through his hair. "Come on, Brier. You know why that's not a good idea." And when she just gapes at him, he adds, "You try to escape." "Hi," Brier exclaims dramatically, "try to escape?" West gives her a flat look, making Brier scoff. A crowded party with everyone distracted is the perfect opportunity to slip away. But the fact that he naturally assumes this is something she would do only makes her want to prove him wrong. By showing up in a nice dress and staying by his side all night, for example, Betty wouldn't see that one coming. Huh, joke's on him. "Well, what do you expect me to do?" she snaps, annoyed. "Stay in my room the entire night?" West's expression turns apologetic, which only infuriates her more because she'll be missing a prime escape opportunity, obviously. Hours later, Brier paces her room like a caged animal, which technically she is. "Can't believe him," she mutters. "It's not like I'd try to assassinate him at his own birthday party." The more she thinks about it, the more annoyed she becomes. "How am I supposed to get him a gift if I don't know it's his birthday?" she grumbles, flopping onto her bed. "Now I just look rude." Not that she cares what West thinks, obviously. This is purely strategic. Earning his trust requires certain social niceties. That's all. The distant sounds of the party filter up through her window. Laughter, music, the clinking of glasses. Whatever, she doesn't care. Nope. Eventually, she tries to sleep, if only to escape her own thoughts, but it isn't long before something yanks her back awake. A vague and persistent discomfort lingers, like an unreachable itch. Her head throbs as if a migraine is brewing, and a peculiar pressure weighs on her chest. Brier sits up, rubbing her temples. The sensation persists, a restless unease coupled with physical discomfort radiating through her entire body. It feels akin to anxiety, but isn't quite that. Like she's forgotten something crucial, yet can't recall what. "Girl, just go back to sleep," she mutters firmly to herself. But the feeling intensifies, more insistent now. It isn't purely physical, it's deeper, almost a pull or tug from within, urging her to be somewhere else, with someone else. The thought hits her suddenly. West. She doesn't know how she knows, but instinct tells her something is wrong with him. I'm being stupid, she mumbles, already rising to her feet and heading for the door. She swings it open, startling the guard stationed outside. I need to go downstairs, she announces, without fully understanding why. The burly guard with an unfamiliar beard looks unimpressed. Nice try, back in your room. You don't understand, Brier insists. I need to see West. The Alpha, the guard corrects with a sneer, is busy entertaining guests, and you're not invited. A second guard appears around the corner, equally disinterested. Problem? The witch wants to crash the party, the first guard explains mockingly. Look, Brier says, keeping her voice steady, I need to check on West. He's unwell. That gets their attention. How would you know that? Brier opens her mouth, then closes it. How does she know? She has no explanation. She just does. I'm his mate, she blurts out finally. I can tell. The words surprise even her. She doesn't believe in the mate bond. It's nonsense, a fairy tale West invented to manipulate her. Yet right now, it's the only answer she has for this strange certainty. Go get him, she instructs. Tell him there's a very important phone call waiting for him in his office. But there isn't, the first guard protests. Everyone important is here. Right, Brier replies, crossing her arms. So if he comes, you'll know I'm right. The guards exchange skeptical glances before the second one nods reluctantly. Fine, wait in his office. Soon enough, Brier paces the room, trying to make sense of her actions. Just as doubt creeps in, the door opens and West steps inside. Brier, he says, clearly surprised. The guard said there was an urgent call. You're welcome, she responds dryly. What? His brow furrows in confusion. Oh, come on, she says, rolling her eyes. You don't feel well, I can tell. The words hang between them, and Brier pauses, struck by their truth and strangeness. How could she tell? She pushes the thought aside, focusing instead on the opportunity in front of her. West looks off-balanced, vulnerable even. This could be her chance to finally get under his skin. So, what's wrong? She asks, studying him more closely. Nothing, he says. His hands clench and unclench at his sides, knuckles white with strain. Liar, she says, softer than she intended. West sighs, lowering himself carefully into his chair. Don't worry about it. So, you admit something's up, Brier presses, moving closer. What is it? Another sigh, deeper this time. Fine, West mutters, avoiding her eyes. A muscle jumps in his jaw as he clenches his teeth. It's because of the bond. His eyes, when they meet hers briefly, have a feverish gleam to them. The mate bond, it requires that I spend time with you, stay close to you. And because I've done so a lot recently, the bond has grown. He trails off, looking away. Now what? Brier asks, feeling a flutter of nervousness in her stomach. West meets her eyes, and the intensity in his gaze makes her breath catch. Now it requires that I be with you. Be with me, she repeats. That I claim you, he says quietly. His breathing has grown more labored, his chest rising and falling with each carefully measured breath. Claim me? Brier lets out a forced laugh. You ain't claiming anything, buddy. Yes, I am aware, West winces. Brier stares, the reality of the situation slowly sinking in. You're serious, aren't you? This bond thing, it's not a joke. It's not a manipulation tactic. It's not a lie designed to confuse me or make me lower my guard. It's real. I would never lie about something like this, West says quietly. To us, mate bonds are sacred. For a moment, Brier doesn't know what to say. everything she thought she knew, everything Sister Thorne taught her about shifters being manipulative monsters. Could it all be false? If this is true, if the bond is real, then what else might be wrong? Okay, shut up, she says finally, pushing the troubling thoughts aside. So what do we do? How do we make you feel better? West looks distinctly uncomfortable, shifting in his chair. You said you needed to be close to me, Brier prompts. Yes, he admits reluctantly, the word coming out almost as a growl. Brier's mind races. Close to her. All right, what does that mean exactly? And then it hits her, physically close. That's what he means. Her eyes widen. Don't, Wes says immediately, reading her expression. But nope, he pushes himself to his feet and backs away from her. Oh, come on, Brier says. You know I have to. Brier, wanna make out? She interrupts triumphantly. Something snaps in Wes's expression. No, I don't want to make out. His eyes flash fully gold now, his breathing ragged. I don't want to touch you, he says, almost a snarl. I don't want to get anywhere near physical intimacy with you when you obviously do not reciprocate or feel the need or want to touch me back at all. The vehemence in his voice takes her aback. You are my mate, Brier, he continues, his voice strained and raw with emotion. And it might not mean much to you, but to me, you're everything. Your scent, your feelings. I've never felt this connected to anyone in my life, and I never will again. So forgive me, he growls, but I can't bring myself to touch you if it means you'll feel nothing for me. She cuts him off, pressing her lips to his in a moment of impulse, the opposite of the calculated attempt she's made before. She doesn't know why she does it, only that she can't bear to hear him speak like that for another second. West freezes, shock rippling through him, before responding with a brief, desperate kiss. Then he pulls away, his chest rising and falling rapidly. Stop being stupid, Brier mutters, kissing him again. A sound escapes him, half growl, half groan, primal and desperate. Suddenly, his arms are around her, pulling her close, and the kiss transforms into something raw and hungry, the culmination of weeks of suppressed desire. His mouth moves against hers with an urgency that steals her breath, and Brier responds with equal passion. Heat blooms where their bodies meet, his hands on her waist, his chest pressed to hers. The intensity is overwhelming, unlike anything she's ever known. But what shocks her most isn't the physical sensation, it's the emotions flooding through her. Somehow, impossibly, she senses West's feelings, a tidal wave of need, desire, and relief so powerful it makes her heart stutter. It's as though he's been starving and she's finally offered him a feast. She pulls back, gasping for air. All the restraint he's shown until now was a facade. Beneath it, he's been burning for her. Wow, she says, grinning, you're so into me. West groans, his eyes molten gold. Their lips meet again, and this time Brier melts against him, winding her arms around his neck as he lifts her effortlessly onto his desk. She nips at his lower lip, drawing a sound from him that's more wolf than man. His control slips further, and he kisses her harder, deeper, his tongue sliding against hers in a way that makes her toes curl. Brier has been kissed before, but never like this. Never so thoroughly that everything else fades except the feel of him against her. The mate bond, it's real. The realization should terrify her, but instead it sends a thrill coursing through her body. He's been telling the truth all along. Just as his hands slide to her hips and the heat between them becomes almost unbearable, West suddenly pulls back. "What?" Brier pouts. "Look, West hesitates, his eyes troubled, still more gold than blue. "Brier, there's something you should know." He takes a deep breath. "It's about your coven, about Sister Thorne." Brier pushes away from West, panic flaring in her chest. "How do you know about the coven?" she demands, her voice rising with fear. "What they told you, what they've been telling you your whole life, it's not what you think," West attempts. "You don't know what you're talking about," Brier interrupts sharply. West holds up his hands, trying to appear non-threatening. "Please, calm down." The softness in his voice only fuels her anger further. "Leave my coven alone," she snaps, backing toward the door. All the warmth she'd felt moments ago has vanished, replaced by cold dread. "You don't understand," Wes says, a pained expression crossing his features. "They've been lying to you." "You're the liar," Brier cuts him off, unwilling to hear another word. West's shoulders slump slightly. "Remember the man who came to see you when you were unconscious? The one with the copper hair? The dark magic user?" Brier scoffs. "You can't seriously believe anything a dark magician says. Your coven uses black magic too." West speaks quietly, his blue eyes searching hers, pleading for understanding. "That mark on your arm proves it." Brier's hand instinctively covers her forearm, where her coven mark lies hidden beneath her sleeve. "You should never have seen that," she says, her voice cracking with vulnerability. The thought that he's seen something so private makes her feel violated. "It's a siphon mark, Brier," West declares gently. "It draws magic from you." She stares at him, stunned. "What?" The word barely escapes as a whisper. "The mark has been placed on you to siphon magic to whoever put it there," West explains. "Your coven leader, I imagine." He takes a half step toward her, but stops when she flinches back. The hurt in his eyes is palpable, a raw wound that somehow mirrors the ache in her chest. "I would know if my magic had been siphoned. It's mine. It's part of me." Brier's voice rises with desperation. "You'd know if something was wrong with your wolf. Well, I'd know if something was up with my magic," she continues. "Except if it isn't yours," West murmurs regretfully. "What are you talking about?" Brier falters. "The magician who came here. His name is Adrian." West grimaces, leaning against his desk. "He's very powerful, capable of granting any wish for a price. So yes, he's made a pact with a demon." Brier asks, piecing together her witch's knowledge. "So he's shady as hell. Where did you even find this guy?" "A friend from another pack vouched for him." West's jaw tightens, his eyes darkening with concern. "Adrian is bound to grant wishes, but he always explains the potential consequences, that you'll pay with what you love most. He told me he once granted a witch a wish, the power to draw a shifter's magic to herself by killing them." Brier's blood runs cold. "I believe this witch, Annabella Thorne, is the one who placed that mark on you and other members of your coven. She draws magic from the mark each time one of you kills a shifter in her stead," Wes says. "No," Brier exclaims, recoiling from his words. "That's not true." "The coven protects humans from shifters. We're the good guys." West's expression softens with something like pity, and it makes her want to scream. "Right, and we're the murderers who kill to be able to shift." "Brier, that isn't true. Surely you know this by now." Brier falls silent, her mind racing. It's true. She's never actually seen a shifter kill to maintain their form. And nothing about West or his pack matches what Sister Thorne had taught them. But Sister Thorne wouldn't lie, wouldn't use them like that. Wolves killed her parents. They did. West's face falls at her silence. A flicker of devastation crosses his features before he masks it. "You know me," he murmurs. "You can feel what I feel. I'm not lying." The vulnerability in his plea tears at something deep inside her. Pain lances through Brier's head suddenly, sharp and unexpected. Images flash before her eyes. Fire, screaming, the shadow of wolves moving through smoke. "Wolves killed my parents," she whispers, pressing her hands to her temples. West reaches for her, his expression desperate. "No, that's what they made you believe. They conditioned you. I looked into your parents' death, Brier. It was an accident." "No," she shouts. "Get away from me." She doesn't wait for his response, fleeing from his office and racing back to her room. The guards don't try to stop her. Perhaps they heard her shouting, or perhaps West gave them some silent signal to let her go. Brier slams her door shut. Her head throbs. The images come faster now. Her childhood home engulfed in flames. Her parents' screams. "It can't all have been a lie," she whispers to herself. It can't. But what if West is telling the truth? What if Sister Thorne has been using her, using all of them? What if the mark on her arm isn't a symbol of belonging, but a brand of ownership? No, West is the liar. His plan worked. He managed to trick her into thinking that mate bond nonsense was real. And now that he can tell she believes him, he thinks she'll turn on the coven. Except she felt him when they'd kissed. How genuinely happy he'd felt. That couldn't have been a lie. Nothing makes sense. Brier wraps her arms around herself. Perhaps some dark magician tricked West. Yes, perhaps West actually believes what he says, because he's the one being manipulated here, not her. And maybe some wolves are bad, but others, like West, aren't. He isn't like the wolves who killed her parents. He's different. "Hello, Brier." Brier jumps to her feet, whirling toward the voice. Standing by her window as if she'd materialized from thin air is Elenina, a fellow witch from the coven with her distinctive silver-streaked dark hair and sharp green eyes. Brier opens her mouth to ask what she's doing here, but Elenina quickly presses a finger to her lips. "Shh," she whispers. "I've cloaked myself so I can't be seen or heard, but you aren't hidden. If you speak, the wolves will hear you." Brier closes her mouth, gesturing to communicate her questions instead. "I'm here to rescue you, of course," Elenina says with a smile. After Brier went missing, Sister Thorne assumed she'd been captured. Elenina steps closer, lowering her voice even further. "I've been watching you without being detected. I must admit, I'm impressed." "You've done an excellent job tricking the Alpha and getting close to him. This will be very useful for what comes next." Brier furrows her brow, mouthing, "The plan?" Elena nods, her smile turning sharp. "The plan to kill the Alpha. Of course, I'm here to help." Noticing Brier's stricken expression, she adds quickly, "Don't worry, sister. Together we'll rid ourselves of him and his evil ways for good." Brier paces her room, unable to stay still. "Will you stop moving?" Elena hisses. "You're making me dizzy." Brier ignores her, mind racing. West's words echo in her head, tangled with Sister Thorne's teachings until she no longer knows what to believe. "Here," Elena says, pulling a small silver tube from her pocket. "You'll need this." Brier stops pacing to examine the object, a lipstick. "What's it for?" she asks. Elena smirks. "Poison. Apply it before you see him next. Kiss him, and he won't suspect a thing." Brier's blood runs cold. She recognizes it immediately. Wolfbane, transformed into a lethal concoction she helped develop. A fast-acting, virtually undetectable poison designed specifically to kill shifters. The truly insidious part is that it doesn't make its victims feel sick. Instead, it induces euphoria, ensuring they never realize they're dying until it's too late. Go on, take it, Elena urges, holding it out. Brier takes the lipstick with trembling fingers, unbidden images flashing in her mind. Wes laughing, eyes bright with artificial joy as the poison courses through him. A tight knot of panic forms in her chest. "This won't work," she says, shaking her head. "He can feel what I feel." "Well, stay calm then," Elena shrugs. Brier's anxiety spikes. "I can't just—" "You can't," Elena interrupts, her expression hardening. "Sister Thorne was right. They've gotten to you." "West is different," Brier defends quickly. "He wouldn't kill innocent people." Elena stares at her. "You've only been here a month, and already you're on his side." "It's not just him," Brier protests. "A magician came, and he said our marks." "It doesn't matter," Elena cuts her off. "Sister Thorne will fix you." Brier freezes. "I was just testing you anyway," Elena says, lips curving into a grim smile. "I don't need you to do anything anymore. I already took care of it." "What do you mean?" Brier asks. "I already applied it to you earlier," Elena says, holding up the lipstick. "It's done." Brier's hand flies to her mouth, horror dawning as the implications sink in. "He's been poisoned already," she gasps. Elena lunges forward, clamping a hand over Brier's mouth. "Shut up, will you?" But Brier barely hears her. Her mind is consumed by thoughts of West, the warmth of his lips on hers, the way he held her. She glances at the door, calculating. There's no time to waste. "We need to leave, now," Brier says urgently. Elena blinks, momentarily thrown. "Now? Yes, now. If we wait, everyone will be after us." Elena studies her face, suspicion clear in her eyes. "So, what do you suggest?" "Take off my cuffs," Brier says, extending her wrists. "I can use my magic to help us escape." Elena narrows her eyes. "Nice try, Brier, but I don't trust you. Ever since I told you about your alpha being poisoned, there's been blatant fear in your eyes." "Well, obviously," Brier snaps. "He's the alpha of this pack. His people are going to come after us." "That's not why you're afraid, though, is it?" Elena interrupts. "You're worried about him. You care about him." Her tone drips with disbelief and horror. Brier's heart sinks. "Fine. Then you should go now before they find out what happened. I'll stay here, cover for you." Elena hesitates. "And leave you behind?" "I'll be fine," Brier insists. "I can say I had no idea what you were planning." Real concern flashes across Elena's face. "Brier, I can't just leave you here alone. You'll be the first person they'll blame for this. They'll hurt you." Seizing the moment, Brier grabs a crystal paperweight from the nightstand and slams it into the back of Elena's head. "I'm sorry," she murmurs as Elena collapses to the floor. She isn't evil, just another pawn in Sister Thorne's game. Brier searches her pockets, hoping for an antidote. Nothing. Panic rises, but she forces it down. Think. Her eyes catch on a silver ring on Elena's finger, the cloaking spell. She slips it off and onto her own. The air shimmers around her. Working quickly, she binds and gags Elena with strips of bedsheet. Then, invisible, she slips into the corridor. Music and laughter echo from the grand hall. Her heart races as she enters the crowded room, scanning until she finds West. He stands near the center, surrounded by well-wishers, face flushed and eyes bright, looking like a man who's had too much to drink on his birthday. But Brier knows better. The artificial brightness in his eyes, the slight looseness in his movements, these aren't signs of intoxication. She pushes through the crowd, desperation growing with each passing second. "West!" she exclaims, slipping the ring off her finger. "Quick, you need to—" Brier, he interrupts, blinking in surprise. Up close, she sees the slight sheen of sweat on his forehead, the rapid pulse at his throat. But before she can speak, he sweeps her into his arms, nuzzling against her neck. "You came back," he sighs, sounding perfectly content. "West," she tries again, but he's not listening. "You smell so good," he chuckles, his lips brushing her ear. Laura approaches, her expression wary as she eyes Brier. "Is this really a good idea?" she asks, "having her here?" West beams, his arm tightening around Brier's waist. "She is my mate," he declares, his words slurring slightly. "I want her with me all the time." Seeing him sway on his feet, Laura's face falls. "Alpha, is everything okay?" she attempts. Brier studies him. "West, listen to me," she says urgently. "You need help. I'm fine, Brier," he assures, trying to kiss her again. She winces. "He's not fine," she tells Laura. "He's been poisoned. Remove my cuff so I can help him." "I don't think so, no," Laura replies, her expression hardening, though she deflates a little when she notices how West is leaning heavily against Brier now. "Come on," Brier tells him. "Tell them to uncuff me, please." He looks down at her, his smile fading slightly as his head drops to her shoulder. "I can't," he sighs, sagging against her. "Then you'd leave me, Brier." "West, I'm not going to leave," she promises, panic rising. "I'm going to heal you. Trust me." "You know I'm not lying." He looks at her through heavy-lidded eyes, a small frown forming. "Okay," he begins, but the word trails off as his eyes roll back. "West!" Brier cries, struggling to keep him upright as he collapses. Laura rushes forward, and together they lower him gently to the floor. Around them, the party dissolves into chaos as guests realize something is wrong. "What did you do?" Laura demands, her eyes shooting daggers at Brier. "It wasn't me," Brier says automatically, then amends. "Well, it was, but I didn't know." Wrong answer, she realizes with a wince, as Laura looks like she's about to end her right there and then. "Arrest her," she orders, and immediately guards appear at Brier's sides, grabbing her arms. "She's done something to the Alpha." "No." Brier struggles against their grip as they begin to drag her away from West. "You don't understand. He's dying. You've got to let me heal him." She's screaming now, desperate, watching as Laura and several others kneel beside West, trying to rouse him. His face is deathly pale, the flush of euphoria replaced by an ashen pallor that terrifies her. "Please," she begs, desperate. "If it were me, why would I try to warn him? Why would I ask you to let me help him?" One of the guards, Marco, gives her an uncertain look. "If we uncuff you, you could harm him further," he points out, sounding unsure. "Further than what?" Brier asks, her voice breaking as she points to West's still form. "He's dying right now." The guards continue dragging her away, but Laura suddenly looks up, her expression conflicted. "Wait," she calls out. The guards pause, and Brier holds her breath. "Bring her back," Laura orders finally, her voice tight with worry, "and uncuff her." "Are you sure?" Marco begins, but Laura snaps. She's right. He's dying, and she might be our only chance. They bring Brier back to West's side and remove her cuffs. The moment the restraints fall away, Brier feels her magic surge back, wild and fierce, rushing through her like wildfire. "Don't try anything funny," Laura warns. But Brier barely hears her. Her focus is entirely on West. "I won't," she whispers, placing her hands on his chest. Other witches would need herbs, spells, and antidotes, but Brier is a green witch. Plants are her gift. And Wolf's Bane, deadly as it is still a plant. She closes her eyes, reaching into West's body with her magic. There, the poison. It coils around his heart, floods his lungs, runs thick through his veins. It's worse than she feared. She draws a steady breath and begins. Her power moves carefully, precisely, withering the poison without harming him. It's like pulling thorns from living flesh. Sweat beads on her brow. The pack is silent, watching, waiting, but she tunes them out. "Come on," she breathes. "Fight it, West. Stay with me." Seconds drag. Her strength fades, but she doesn't stop. Then his heartbeat steadies. His breath deepens. Color returns to his cheeks. Brier exhales, trembling. She hears Lara murmur something, feels the pack shift around her, but all she sees is West as his eyes flutter open. Blue, clear, alive. "Brier," he rasps. A sob breaks from her. "I'm here." His hand finds her cheek, warm and solid. The pack watches in stunned silence, uncertain and afraid. But none of that matters. West is alive, and he's looking at her like she's the only thing that makes sense. Elena sits stiffly on the cot, refusing to meet Brier's eyes. The room, comfortable but secure, has been her home for 3 days. "Come on, Elena," Brier says, sliding a folder across the table. "Just look at the evidence." "I don't need to look at wolf propaganda," Elena snaps. "I know what Sister Thorne taught us." Brier sighs. "That's the problem. She taught us lies." Elena's gaze finally snaps to hers, full of fury. "You're the one who's been lied to, bewitched by that alpha." "I thought that too," Brier says gently, "until Lara showed me this." She opens the folder. Police reports, news clippings, photos from the fire that killed her parents, gathered by West long before she trusted him. It was faulty wiring, an accident, not shifters. Elena glances at the documents, then looks away. They could be faked. I checked them myself. They're real. Brier lays out more. Interviews, insurance forms, autopsies. Nothing pointed to foul play or anything supernatural. And then there's this. She rolls up her sleeve, revealing her altered coven mark. Adrian explained how it works. Elena flinches at the name. I was scared of him too, but he showed me how Sister Thorne used our marks to siphon power. Every time we killed a shifter, she grew stronger. We were just batteries. Brier leaned in. "Have you ever actually seen a shifter kill someone? Ever seen them need blood to survive?" Elena stays silent. "She kept us isolated, filled our heads with horror stories. But they're not monsters, Elena. We've been hunting innocents." The silence lingers until Elena finally whispers, "I don't know what to believe anymore." It's not acceptance, but it's a start. "Just think about it," Brier says as she rises. At the door, she hesitates. "I miss you. The real you, not the weapon Sister Thorne made us." She leaves quietly, the ache in her chest deepening. Elena's doubt had mirrored her own weeks ago, but rejection still hurts. Brier climbs the grand staircase, her feet moving on instinct. She spent the last few days in West's chambers, watching over him. Through their bond, she feels his presence, steady but still healing. He lies sprawled across the bed, eyes closed, breath slow and even. Her gaze lingers on him. His face is softer in sleep, no longer her enemy, but something far more precious. When he stirs moments later, his eyes find hers instantly. "Hey," he murmurs, voice rough with sleep. "Hey yourself," she replies, aiming for carefree. West's expression shifts subtly. "What's wrong?" he asks. "You're upset." "I'm not upset," Brier protests, but West only raises an eyebrow in response. "How is Elena?" he challenges. Brier sighs. There's no hiding from the bond between them, no way to shield her emotions from his awareness. "Elena's being stubborn," she admits, "like someone else I know." West teases gently. I thought once I showed her the evidence about my parents, she'd at least consider the possibility that Sister Thorne lied. West nods, understanding in his eyes. He shifts position slightly, wincing with the effort. Give her time, he advises. It took you weeks to start questioning your beliefs. Brier shakes her head. Here he is, trying to make her feel better when he was the one who had almost died. You should be resting, she says, guilt clouding her mind. I've been resting for days, he counters. Through their bond, she can feel his weariness, the lingering effects of the poison that had nearly claimed his life, and she winces. This, too, he notices. It wasn't your fault, Brier, West tells her, reaching for her hand. His fingers hover just above hers, not quite touching, as if he doesn't dare go further without permission. The hesitation in the gesture makes her heart ache. Move over, she decides, sitting beside him. West raises an eyebrow, but complies, shifting to make room. You don't have to do this, he says quietly, though she can feel his pleasure at her nearness humming through their bond. It's the least I can do, Brier reminds him, her voice small, being the one who poisoned you and all. West tenses at that, his body growing rigid beside her accidentally. He attempts to joke, but the damage is done. Brier senses his unease. For a horrifying second, she thinks he's nervous about being near her, the person who almost got him killed twice. But then she realizes it has nothing to do with that. Their bond reveals that if he's concerned, it's only because he believes she is sitting next to him out of guilt. Her offer for closeness stems from obligation rather than desire. I like touching you, Brier declares, rolling her eyes at his surprised expression. It's the truth. Despite her lingering confusion about so many things, being close to him feels right in a way she can't explain. West melts at the words, pleasure seeping through their bond once more as he pulls her close. Through their connection, Brier can feel his contentment growing, his pain receding slightly at her touch. The mate bond, she's learning, seems to have healing properties of its own. I also like talking with you, Brier admits, emboldened by the warmth of his response. Her fingers trace a hesitant pattern on his chest, feeling his heartbeat quicken beneath her touch. In fact, I like everything about you. West shifts, propping himself up on one elbow to look at her properly. You like me? He asks, sounding so hopeful it nearly breaks her heart. Brier takes a deep breath, gathering her courage. Love, she corrects, clearing her throat. I love you, she adds, torn between looking away and cupping his face between her hands. The words hang between them, raw and honest. She feels the impact they have on him, a wave of such intense emotion it momentarily takes her breath away. You don't have to say anything back, she adds quickly. I know this is all complicated. West's hand comes to silence her, landing over her mouth. Brier, he murmurs, I've loved you since the moment you stood over me with that blade. I've just been waiting for you to catch up. The simple honesty in his words, the depth of feeling behind them makes tears spring to her eyes. Through their bond, she can feel the truth of it, how he's held himself back, how he's contained his feelings, afraid of overwhelming her while she was still coming to terms with everything. Well, you're crazy, she jokes tearfully. I was trying to kill you, remember? Wes laughs, the sound bright and clear. Even so, he tells her warmly. He leans down, pressing his lips to hers in a gentle kiss. Unlike their first passionate encounter, this is soft, reverent, a promise rather than a demand. She can feel his love washing over her, warm and steady as sunlight. And deeper than that, a profound relief. Relief that after all this time, after her hatred and suspicion, she's finally seen him for who he truly is, her mate, entirely devoted to her. What are we going to do? She asks when they part. Wes' eyes are shining with emotion. Brier settles back against him, her head on his chest. "We need to figure out how to help Elena and the others," he declares. "Do you think we can? Save them, I mean," Brier asks, voicing her deepest fear. "I don't know," West admits, "but we'll try. They're your sisters, even if they don't know it yet." The quiet determination in his voice fills her with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispers, pressing a kiss to his chest right over his heart. "Thank you for not giving up on me." West's arms tighten around her, his love flowing through their bond. "You were always worth the wait, Brier, always." They fall quiet again, content to simply be together, to feel the bond between them growing stronger with each passing moment. Outside, the sun begins to set, casting the room in golden light. Whatever comes next, they'll face it as one. It won't be easy. Brier knows that. The path ahead is uncertain, filled with challenges neither of them can predict. But she has her mate now. "Together," she murmurs, the word both a promise and a prayer. West presses a kiss to the top of her head, his voice soft but certain when he replies, "Together."